in a time and place when you can get your face touched anywhere.
Two ladies in their mid to late 33s have decided to.
The Gringas go to India for the Holi festival.
And then we leave early because of the coronavirus.
How are they holding up?
How are you holding up?
This is the Workationing Podcast.
Starting it off is always so hard, especially like in this case. Should we start with where we're at right now, Ash?
Yeah, I think that makes most sense because sadly we're not together.
No, we are not in India, nor are we in Belgium or in Indiana right now. All places we've recently been. We had to cut our India trip short as a result of the coronavirus. We've got some stories about that.
As I'm sure you guys do too, but we'll definitely elaborate on what happened in India. And now because of it, we can't even record together. So I am in my apartment, and Kari, I assume you're in yours as well?
Yeah, I am on day 6 of lockdown in my apartment. I am getting groceries delivered. Thank God I have a cat.
I know.
Company.
I know. My dog and we're on a whole new level of friendship. It's crazy. And I took your advice and I gave myself a sprinkle today. So that's winning.
Yeah. Ashley was like, I haven't showered in 3 days. And I was like, girl, I'm going to need you to sprinkle off a little more than that. During a global pandemic.
I'm not seeing anyone. Like, you're right. It's bad, but like, I'm not working out. I need to be, but it's weird. I've never been such a hermit like this, but I just don't like. My neighbor downstairs is a kind of a heavy smoker, and she's in her 70s and she's terrified. And I don't know. I just don't want to be around people. I don't want to be the asshole that passes the germ or something, but I also don't want to get it. Yeah.
Let's talk about our recent travels, because last we left the people, we were headed to Belgium for Steve's 40th birthday. And then shortly thereafter, we were going to hop on a plane to India for the Holi festival. All of those things happened. And we're going to have a separate Corona-based episode to talk about the forced quarantine, police check-ins, all of the crazy things that we have experienced over the last week or so.
I love the meme that's going around that's been like, this week has been quite the year or whatever. Yes, that is it. The whole week or two has felt like an entire year in one. It's absolute madness. But yeah, at least we've had some fun before we got locked down. So I actually made it to Belgium for Steve's 40th. Do you want to fill everybody in on what happened to you?
I signed a new client.
Woo! Woo-hoo!
Right, which is great. And it's an awesome client, and I'm psyched to be working with them. And they are based in Syracuse, Indiana. And I had to I got the opportunity rather to meet 2 members of my team. I flew a couple of the guys out, and we all drove from Chicago 2.5 hours to Syracuse, Indiana. Town population, 2,500.
Oh, wow.
My client is the biggest employer in the city, and it's a resort town that picks up a lot in the summer, but we were there in the wintertime. So is
there like a lake or something? What makes it resorty? Is it golf course?
Yeah, it's right on a lake. It's on a gorgeous lake, and the town's super cute. Not a lot of chain stores, mom and pop, still thriving over there, or at least they were before this coronavirus hit. Had a good time, but it was a lot of work. It was a week of travel and training a 20-person executive team, which requires a lot of headspace and energy.
Yeah.
We were doing it for 8 or 9 hours straight because we had several long days of just nonstop training. So I was pretty exhausted by the time I came back, which was the day everyone was leaving for Belgium.
Yeah, because you're originally going to meet us over there on Saturday, but I get it. That's exhausting to be working that many hours during the day and then jet lag on top of that and then getting on a train. And lest you forget about our train ride back, so I'll fill everyone in on that. Right. I mean, can I have an adventure without chaos, please?
No, not these days. So sit your ass at home.
2020 is not an easy travel year so far. So I did make it to Belgium, and in Brussels, it was my first time. There were about 16 of us, I think, there. We had a great time. Steve loved it. You know, he loves beer. And so we did plenty of that. It was a really good time. So actually, the first night we got there, we went to a drag queen show, which was a lot of fun. And I get excited when I see drag queens. They turn me on. I don't know what to tell you, but I was, had a couple cocktails and I got real pumped. And
Well,
they
love
were,
drag queens. Who doesn't?
yeah,
I threw an ex-boyfriend a drag queen unicorn birthday party.
no, that's
And it was
fun.
incredible. Drag queens know how to entertain a crowd, keep the energy up. They're fucking fabulous. I was looking at the videos and chats in the WhatsApp group, and when I saw you dominate the fake orgasm contest, I was like, yep, I knew my girl had it in her.
Yeah, let me just preface. I definitely had to have a couple cocktails in me for that. I went to town. I took that seriously and just went for it. It was like when Harry met Sally thing all over. And the funny thing was, I was like in the front row and I kept shooting my hand up in the air every time they were asking for people to come up and volunteer and be a part of it. And I was up on stage like 6 times. They ended up calling me like the drunk sorority girl. I'm old, far away from those days, but I was certainly behaving like one. But whatever, it was so much fun. I had a great time, and I feel like they need somebody to pick on in those situations, and I just voluntarily gave myself to them and, to say what they will. So,
Well,
yeah.
I would also like to state that for the record, because I saw the video, thank you to whoever filmed that video. I actually got it from multiple angles.
Yeah.
I want you to know that group chat was hot fire. But essentially, they called 4 people up on stage, of which our dear Ashley was one.
So was Steve.
Right. And so I think Steve went first or something. They saved Ashley for later, which was a good move. Because everyone was real respectful about it, like dainty about their fake orgasms. They kept it till maybe 3-4 seconds max. It was like a short endeavor for everyone. And then Ashley comes on stage, and it was just a much different experience.
Yeah, I went for it. I think I ended up on my knees at one point. It was, I took myself there. I was in character. And even Chris saw the video and he was like, huh, interesting. Like, that sounded a little real. I was like, I had to go that way. Anyway, it was fun. I won. I got a shot. Oh, yeah, and I did do a shot on my knees. So I was real sorority girl in that moment. But it's fun. It's been like 15 years since I've lived those days. So I was rather proud.
It's nice to revisit every now and then. Yeah. Right after that, we left for India the next week, right?
Right. But I just want to say, I'm glad you didn't come because, so let me just say really quick too, Brussels is awesome. I was kind of told by a couple of people who don't go there, not fun. Highly disagree. The main square is gorgeous, especially at night. It lights up the architecture and like the detail that goes into these buildings and the color. It's outstanding. And they have awesome restaurants, really fun bars, a lot of character, little tiny cobblestone streets. I think it's a very cool city. I'm not saying I would maybe fly from Dallas to Brussels to have that be my only destination. But if you're considering like a Euro trip with maybe like London, Paris, Amsterdam, Barcelona, throw Brussels in there. Why not? It was a lot. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. It's definitely a little more on the higher priced end. We're not talking, Monte Carlo or something, but it's not going to be as cheap as Greece or something.
The train ride from Amsterdam to Brussels is pretty short, as long as you don't encounter
a storm,
force winds.
Yeah. So that was the problem. Going there, it was like 3 hours something. It was very easy. Coming back, it took us over 6, and we had to change trains 4 times. Like, we did a tour of the Netherlands just to get home. It was bonkers. So that was a good intro into what would be the travel experience is coming up next with India.
Yeah, so
So
you had just survived hurricane force winds on a
yeah.
train or multiple trains. As all of the wind warnings were coming through, telling people to stay inside. And I could see why, because it was very, very, very windy outside. I was very glad that I didn't take that trip to Belgium and that I wasn't on the train with you, but my heart was from afar.
Well, we missed you for sure.
So we went out to India right after that. And coincidentally, the same day that we left Amsterdam to go to India was the same day that Amsterdam got its first case of the coronavirus, or rather the Netherlands did, but it came through Amsterdam.
Yeah. And it's funny because people were starting to say to us, "Are you sure you should go?" And I was still, I don't want to say poo-pooing it, but I was kind of like, oh, it's fine. It's not that big of a deal. And it actually didn't really hit me until like a week after we were there. So you and I were pretty gung-ho on, yeah, we're getting on the plane. It's fine.
No, of course. I've been looking forward to this trip forever. So
Right.
the Holi Festival, Holi, is absolutely incredible. If you've got your computer in front of you, pop a Google image search on the Holi Festival because it's visually stunning. It's feel good vibes. It is supposed to heal yourself and your relationships. It sounded like a great time. We had excellent accommodations lined up through the No Name Guest House, which I had been looking at all of their videos, stalking their Instagram, checking out all the photos on their site. That place looks sick. I was psyched to go there, and we were super fortunate to have them sponsor us. And I was very much looking forward to this trip.
Yeah.
And it didn't seem like, I don't know, we've been through SARS, H1N1. We've had, I guess, global bugs that have gone around, and it never really seemed like anything that I'm going to wash my hands. I'm going to not touch my face. I'm going to try and do those things in an airport anyway, but I try to be aware of them in general. And I didn't really understand the sheer magnitude of what we in the world were about to face.
No, I didn't either. And yeah, as you just said, we've seen Ebola and SARS and these different things. But I think then it was more of a situation. There's one person here, one person there. We have one case. And it was just way more secluded or isolated. And it wasn't affecting the rest of the world. Whereas now, we had no idea that it was going to be shutting down countries, cities, everything. And I had been on some chat boards where people said, oh, I have a vacation plan to here or there and Italy. And this was before we knew how bad Italy was. And I responded saying, oh, I'm in India right now. Everything was fine getting over here. Wouldn't worry about it. And come to find out several days later, we should maybe be worrying about this. So
this is why you don't take advice on the internet.
Yeah, especially from me, apparently.
Well, so when we got there, we had no idea. Again, they say that human minds can't comprehend exponential math. We're only typically able to comprehend linear. And we were dealing with a real hockey stick of exponential growth, the infection rates for coronavirus. And it even got worse from the time that we boarded the plane to the time where we got off of the plane and got our Wi-Fi again. And even then, it still kind of didn't fully register. But we get off of the plane in India. Ashley is a total pro. She's got a backpack on the front, a backpack on the back. I've got my trusted Tumi roller, which has been my workationing companion since the beginning, and my North Face backpack, just pretty low key. I'm glad that we didn't have to hike a lot with our stuff because it was very hot.
Oh, it was so hot. Well, and so our flights were very full and long, and then we landed in Mumbai. Do you remember how long it took us? 3 hours, I think, to get through immigration.
Yeah.
It was
that immigration line
incredible.
very long. People were saying they'd never waited that long before. And we got in that line pretty early. There were people wrapped around like a snake in those corral type things, but then it went all the way down the hall. And those people must have been waiting for 5-6 hours.
It was awful. And there wasn't much air ventilation. It was so hot. And then everywhere, like every stand, with the security check, remember we had to do the fingerprints. And so there were just piles of wipes and Kleenexes and napkins everywhere from people trying to wipe down the fingerprint thing, which good, because there was this crazy virus and still is going around. But yeah, I mean, all of us standing in there breathing each other's air for 3 hours.
I was trying not to think
ideal.
about it. At the time, India had no cases of coronavirus.
Yeah.
So I was thinking that if we were going to catch anything, it was going to be something else. I still wasn't geeked. I don't do well in crowds, and I don't do well being trapped. And being trapped in a line you have to go through in a crowd it was a less than ideal situation, but we did get out of it right to the airport lounge. We had plenty of time on our layover.
6 hours.
And beverages. Yep. And then we came into Goa. And the No Name Guest House has a service where they will send you a taxi cab, but it's like a trusted driver. He was out there holding a little sign, Kari to Phillips of Vacationing. That was very cool.
And then you almost got hit by a car within 10 seconds.
So I was gonna say the first thing I did when I got out of the airport is look the wrong way while crossing the street and almost get nailed by a car.
I was like, no. It was close. I'm not going to lie.
It was way too close for comfort. And after that, I became super paranoid about getting hit by a car because the drivers out there operate like they don't fear the reaper. Kelly says that about my driving, but for realsies. Lanes that should just be 2 lanes or sometimes 4. People have this sort of honking code where they will honk in some sort of Morse code that everyone else understands that indicates if they're going to be passing you on the left or on the right.
Yeah, I think it's like 2 honks if they're coming on the left and 1 if they're coming on the right. I could be wrong, but that's what I think it is.
Very stressful. And here's a pro travel tip. I have a very sensitive stomach. I will puke at the drop of a hat. It's something that my whole family has been cursed with. Generations of us have weak stomachs. Kelly can tell me a gross story and I'll throw up. But I had borrowed, stolen, taken, I think that it comes with the purchase price of your flight, the air sick bag. And I was really glad that I did. I took that from the plane and into the cab because motion sickness in the cab was really something else for me. And I really thought I was going to have to use the airsick bag. So if you're going to a place where you're worried about, maybe getting sick, especially in the back of the cab, and you don't want to puke in your backpack, girl, go ahead and snag a couple of those airsick bags, maybe.
Yeah, it was a long, I usually do fairly well with getting sick in the car or car sickness, obviously. But that was windy. That was long. And we thought we were 30 minutes away. We were an hour and 40 minutes away. And it was hot and it was windy. So I understand, especially if you have a sensitive stomach, why that was bothering you. But we got there in one piece, which was great.
The driver was very cool. I felt safe the whole time, and he dropped us off right out front. And this gorgeous hippie lady, Ella, greets us, and I think she was Russian. Was she Russian?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And she was so sweet. She was just good vibes and happiness all the time. She immediately told me to chill out, and I was like, oh, do I seem tense to you? It's almost like you've never seen a high-strung American lady before. I'm sure there are more of us out here traveling. You'll encounter more of us in the future. But we have to take off our shoes, which I thought was cool, actually. And after a really long day of travel, it was awesome to get the keys to our rooms. And then I've got like a spacious bathroom. Everything was neat. It was super tidy and clean. And I just passed out for several hours.
Yeah, it was nice. And they have hot water, which is a big deal because not a lot of places do. So nice hot shower. It felt good.
Yeah. And when we woke up, we snacked some food and their kitchen is freaking banging.
Yeah, it was really good. It's like mostly vegetarian. Yeah, she's great. She's there every day, and these two gentlemen that help her there every day. It's all homemade, mostly vegetarian, really good. And breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day. Dessert, can't go wrong.
We ate there a lot. We for sure ate there more than anywhere else, and it wasn't because it was convenient. It's because it was some of the best food that we had while we were there. So
Yeah.
even if you don't stay there, certainly like pop by for lunch because it's a cool space and the food is good.
And they have free drinking water, which is really nice. So you don't have to buy a million plastic water bottles all day long. You can just fill up there whenever you need to. So that was a win in my book.
The top floor of this place, it's a rooftop co-working space. And you can also work down in the cafe if you want. But for me, I wanted to spend all my time up on the rooftop.
View was amazing. Like looking over the ocean and palm trees.
And the crew was cool. It was pretty busy and everyone was working and everyone was very chill. I heard some very cool stories from other travelers and people who lived there but just like to co-work at the No Name every now and then.
And to be said too, India can be known to have some spotty Wi-Fi. Their Wi-Fi was legit. It was always, so they had two Wi-Fis, one that was just like standard, and that's what I used all the time. I streamed, I did everything on it, no problems whatsoever. But they also had like a really, really high speed one that you could pay for. And some people did that, some people did the regular. But if you depend on Wi-Fi to, in your digital nomad life, this is a legit place to go where you can depend on it for sure.
I used the free Wi-Fi too, and I never had any kind of problem.
Yeah, me either.
So we arrived, sleep it off, snack some, sleep it off some more, and then our friend Antigone comes in. And Antigone is a friend of mine. We've been friends we ran that math and it came to 10 years, and then both of us agreed to just never talk about that again. We've been friends for a long time. I met her in New Hampshire. And we've traveled around quite a bit. She's come out to Amsterdam to visit, but she decided to meet us in Arambol in India for the Holi festival. And so that was awesome because I hadn't seen her in a year and a half. And our friend Tina also came out. So we had a 4-lady strong girl squad rolling in deep to the Holi festival. And when we all met up, one of the first things that Ashley did was get sick.
Well, and to be fair, this is my third time in India and I get sick every time. No question about it. Right within the first 1 to 4 days, I'm violently ill. So I knew it was coming. I was emotionally and mentally prepared, but it still is not fun. You were texting me, can I bring you anything? And I opened the door just looking, I'm sure like I crawled out of hell.
I didn't want to give you a hug. I was like, is it the coronavirus? Do you have it?
The puke virus.
She's like, oh, I felt so bad for you because we were meeting cool people at the time. One of the first things that we like to do is try and find local fixers. We had planned to be in India for 3 weeks. That's a long enough time where if you make relationships with people early on, you can benefit from them for the rest of the time that you're in India and walk away with like some really cool friends. We met these 2 guys, Ethan and Raj, at a local bar called the Seahorse on like night 2. And those 2 were our ride or die fixers. Raj was a local and his dad's in government. So he knew all kinds of things and was great at negotiating. He was a very good negotiator. And Ethan is from Serbia. And he, in addition to being a digital nomad and having, a couple different online businesses, is also a former professional basketball player and MMA fighter. So if you want like a solid dude to rep the lady squad in a foreign land, I think that like you can't do much better than an MMA fighter.
He's very nice too.
He's very nice. And to be clear, Ethan and Raj are not their real names. They asked to be anonymous, which is something that we've experienced in the past. For example, Santiago from the Medellin and Acapulco episodes. Santiago's not his real name. He just goes by Santiago because he's afraid of getting kidnapped. And, there's some security concerns when you start talking about things, and you never know how people are going to interpret them. So it's just best to keep everyone anonymous. But they were great resources for us. Walking at night by myself was not really an option. About 3 days into the trip, Tina, Antigone, and I were standing outside of a shop just talking, and these 3 guys walked by, and one of them grabbed my ass. And that was in a group setting. I totally lost my shit. I pushed him and told him that he was bad and that he should feel shame and that he embarrassed his family. I tried to use simple words and loudly so that everyone could understand that that guy was being a real piece of shit in that moment. But it didn't make me feel safe. And even the people trying to talk you into going to their restaurants get very in your face sometimes. And for a lady who likes a lot of personal space, it kept me kind of on edge. So I always wanted to make sure that there was a guy in the group walking any of us home or all of us home at night, and Raj and Ethan were consistently willing to fall on that grenade. And it was nice.
Yeah.
We also made some friends with waiters at the restaurants. Are great friends to have. If you find a restaurant that you like and you get the same waiter a couple of times, you can, have a vibe. And out there, the waiters pretty much work every day. So you were seeing the same people over and over and over again. And one of the nights, one of the waiters walked Antigone home. You wouldn't be able to just go up to a waiter and ask that without having developed that kind of relationship, though. So trying to focus on finding people who, in a pinch, you can trust to ask for some basic help, like, will you walk me home? I think it's useful to have as a lady traveler.
And it all depends on where you are and everything, but I think that was definitely smart in that area for sure. Goa is amazing, but it's definitely like the party area of India.
Which is why we wanted to be there for Holi.
Well, and to be fair, if you are considering, we did not know this, obviously we had the festival, but in the future, if you're planning a trip for Holi, the festival in Pushkar, a little bit more north, is where the original festival happens, I'm told. You'll find them all over India, but Pushkar is the place that does where it was birthed, I'm told. But yeah, that's what Ethan and Raj were telling us.
Ethan and Raj knew all kinds of stuff. Ethan and Raj knew where the cool places to do yoga that all the locals gathered at. They knew the open mic nights where there's so much musical talent in Goa. Live music was up and popping there. It was very, very cool. And it was really March 10th was the Holi festival. And we thought during a global pandemic where everyone's telling you not to touch your face, that let's go to the face touching festival. I was like,
Teen was so funny by the end. She was like, no, just my arm, because how they do it is you get this colored powder and you kind of rub it between your fingers, and you slowly with 4 fingers on each cheek, start at the ear and kind of rub down toward the chin, and then you take one hand and swipe over the forehead. So that's how you properly do it. And that's nice and wonderful in a normal setting, I guess. But yeah, when there's a pandemic happening and some fingers end up in your mouth with colored powder on them.
Oh, yeah.
After a couple hours, I was like, can you just do my neck maybe? Or my arm?
I can't believe we did that. I can't believe. Because we were into it. I mean, and to be clear, at that time, I don't think that there was one case in India. I don't think that it came to India until right before we left. Maybe it had just popped up on the radar. We were in what I thought was a relatively safe area. But the face touching at the Holi festival was really on another level. Stranger would come up to you. And to be clear, everyone was on the beach with these bags of colored powder, smearing them all over each other, and then coming at me with those same grubby hands. They're just rubbing it on my face. And in this case, I'm totally cool with it.
Well, and it doesn't help that we're foreigners and ladies. So did you realize we were like celebrities? I mean, we were probably in 500 plus family photo albums, or will be now. I mean, everybody wanted a picture with the Western girls and putting color on their face.
Yeah,
And
all of the locals were loving it. Like the parents were getting their little kids to come and do it. And my blonde hair was jacked. I had the colors of the rainbow in my hair. By the way, my hair is still pink. It did not wash out of my bleached blonde hair. I have in patches. It's only the pink that stuck. But I've got like what I'll call like a nice rose pink hue to my hair, which is great on video conference calls now, especially because I can't go to a salon because we're all under lockdown.
Well, some people pay to put that in their hair, so like maybe
not with this kind of application,
braid in it or something. I don't know, but at least, video. Maybe get a cute headband. I'm not sure, but
I just let it ride.
Quarantined, I've never looked slobbier in my life than I do right now, and I'm just enjoying it. So maybe just enjoy your pink hair. I thought it looked really cute.
Yeah, it became pretty clear pretty immediately that was not going to be washing out. My skin was stained. I was covered in so much powder that my skin got stained in different places, and I still have the blue doesn't want to come out, and the pink, again, that pink is still, girl, largely in charge of my back. And I can't really scrub my back as much as I could like other areas.
I mean, I rocked out in a bathing suit the next day on the beach, and my belly button was pure pink, and my chest, so it looked like somebody had taken a baseball bat to me. I looked very abused, but people understood. But no, it's off now for sure. You might want to get a loofah or something and really.
No, I got a loofah, but like, girl, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Trust, I have been scrubbing the shit out of my skin these days. It's still, I mean, it's just my tan is on point though. My tan is really truly on point.
Yeah, mine is.
Out there was perfect.
I was thinking about that this morning. I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I worked so hard on my tan that no one's going to see ever. Fine.
And the sunsets were so gorgeous out there. I was enjoying a hummus plate out on the beach. And as the sun went down, everyone started cheering and clapping and dancing. Just pure magic. Like, sometimes you've got those magic moments in life where you are sitting wherever you are. And, these days it's at home. You can still have magic moments at home. But I was like really happy with where I was at that moment and being able to just witness the celebration of another day coming to a close. But like Aaron Bowl style, it was good juju. There was a lot of good juju there in general, I feel like.
Yeah.
We actually got to experience Holi 3 different ways. The first one was on the beach. And then the second one, we went to this club. It was also
on scooters, which was
really we got scooters.
And drove out there, all of us. And it was really cool actually, because we could see all these other people coming and going covered in color, and everyone was honking at each other like happy Holi, and everyone was in such a great mood. So it was very cool to get on the road and sort of see how everyone was celebrating in other areas. So I enjoyed that part.
On the way to the beach Holi party, I saw my first wild monkey. Huge. Yeah, it ran across the street, and I'm on the back of the scooter, Teen's driving, and she goes, holy shit, did you see that giant monkey? And I was like, no, I did not. Girl, where is the giant monkey? Is it gonna, where is it, or is it gonna get us? Where is this? And I saw it in the tree, and it was indeed a big-ass monkey. And it just crossed the road right in front of her and then ran into a tree in front of somebody's house. And I said, ooh, that's a bit much for me.
Scary.
That was a bit much for me.
Yeah.
I love monkeys, but not like that.
Ooh.
It was big. And maybe it was a friendly monkey, but I wouldn't want to get too close to find out for sure. And then we went to a beach club that had rainfall on the dance floor. So it was just like colors and water, and then people would hit you with more color,
And you had to wear white, so everyone just looked like a tie-dyed mess. It was cool. And I liked it because we were getting so caked in that powder and it was so hot. And so having a little water made it a little pasty and like more tolerable, if you will. It felt great. But I remember dancing in the water and I was like, just look at these men. Because I gotta say, Indian men just know how to groove. They have some swag like nobody's business. They get that Bollywood dancing going, and it is attractive. It is sexy. They all do it. They're not ashamed to have moves like maybe some men in the US, they just sort of bob back and forth or whatever. I'm not hating, but these dudes don't you agree? They get so into it. It seems to be choreographed sometimes, and they just go
1,000%.
for it. And
No,
I
they've
love
got their
it.
own version. They've got their own version of the Macarena and electric slide, and it's way tighter than the line dancing nightmare bullshit that we do at weddings in the US. These people really do know how to move, and you're right, they're not shy about it at all.
No, and it's to every song. So it doesn't even have to be a certain song. They just get down and they enjoy it. And men are quite affectionate with each other. That's not a homosexual stigma or anything like that. They just throw their arms around each other. They hold hands quite frequently. And it's so awesome to just see them getting down on the dance floor, getting jiggy with it with each other. I don't know. I find it wildly attractive.
It was a fun time. The next place that we went to was more of like a hippie beach bar kind of thing that was absolutely packed. And everyone was rubbing colors all over everywhere. Somebody just took our water and drank it. I was like, no, you can't do that. That's mine though. Or it was. Now it's yours.
Yeah,
Please, by all
exactly.
means, have that.
That.
But that was like absolutely insane. I have never seen so many white people with like dreadlocks in their hair. That's a definite style. You can buy fake ones they're like dreadlock extensions, which I didn't know was a thing. But people get
Oh.
crazy with their hair out there, and they'll just sell you dreadlocks on the street. That was a weird store.
Hey man, if I were going to be out there for a couple months, I would totally get some clip-in dreadlocks. I could definitely see that being my jam.
There were lots of weird stores. The streets were just lined with storefronts that would sell you anything from flip-flops and sarongs to high-end jewelry. They
Yeah.
really kind of ran the gamut on our street, but it was great because I had everything that I wanted right within walking distance. The location was really key. There was a late night bar that's open 24 hours out there. And it was really cool at night because it kind of became the Star Wars bar. And it just all kinds of people from all kinds of walks of life. There was a Scottish anarchist with tons of piercings in his face. He kept calling me mate. It's like, okay. He was a really nice guy. Just all kinds of different nationalities and physical looks of people. Some people got really weird with it. But we met our friend Dennis, who is a party promoter, and he was throwing one of the sickest underground parties in Goa. He specializes in underground parties, and the
Oh,
videos from that looked insane. So
damn it.
Dennis is on the beach. I've never seen him not look absolutely pristine. Whether I run into him at the coffee shop or whether he comes to the Star Wars bar at night, he's wearing like a very, very well cut blazer, very skinny pants that are not jeans. They're pants, but he rocks a cigarette pant and some sort of like t-shirt underneath, just looking like a very smooth guy for how hot it is outside. Everyone else is in flowy stuff. And looking real sweaty, but he brought his talents.
Yeah.
You should probably talk about how we had to leave early, because when did you start talking to me about, I think we need to go?
So that was on Wednesday. I wake up and, in our group chat on WhatsApp, Rob was like, you girls need to get out of there immediately. because no, it was Thursday because Teen left on Wednesday. And then he was like, you guys need to come home. I'm glad Teen's on a flight out, but the way things are looking, you're going to get stuck there. And so then we checked the news. This was early in the morning. You were still asleep, and checked the news, and they're like, yeah, for India, they're going to close the borders on the 13th for incoming, and you have to get out by the 15th. Now, I don't know how much they enforce that getting out thing, but I wasn't willing to risk it because not only did we have to worry about India and getting out, but the Netherlands, we weren't really sure if they were going to shut the borders.
No, and we're both Americans living in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
What does that even look like? I think they'll take us, probably, but who knows?
You didn't even have your resident card on
No, so right before, this is terrible. Right before I left for India, my wallet got stolen. Now, in the Netherlands, it's not like you can just go to the DMV with your passport and get a new one, a new card, or like a temporary one. First, you need to file a police report. And when I called the police to file the report, they were like, well, you need to come in, and the soonest we can get you an appointment is Saturday afternoon. But I was leaving for India on Saturday morning. And there was no way that I was like, can I just show up now? And he was like, no, for this kind of thing, we won't even see you. You have to make an appointment. And I can't get a replacement residency card until I have that police report. So I essentially had to fly out to India I always make sure to keep some credit cards at home. In the event that my wallet gets stolen, it can't ruin my life. I've got like too many responsibilities. So I set some stuff aside. I still had my passport. I still had a credit card. I still had a debit card. I still had access to things. So while waiting for my replacement cards to come, I had to fly out. They didn't arrive in time. So I was really happy that I at least had what I needed to get out. But the return, I was really concerned because I had an American passport. I talked to the immigration department out here before I left, and they told me that my US passport will be fine and that I'll be able to get back in. But that was before the pandemic hit. Fortunately, I was able to get in, no problem. They said that they could look up my residency in the computer, but they didn't even need to. And they just welcomed me back to the country. But I was really sweating that I was going to end up in quarantine or like any number of what if they don't let me into this country, then I've got to fly to the US. If that's the case, where in the US do I fly? Who do I stay with during a global pandemic? And by the way, the US doesn't look like it's repping this game real well. Do you know what I mean? I didn't really want to go to the US because the US, from what I'm gathering from friends on the ground out there, is a real shit show right now. And it was already back then. And I didn't want to have anything to do with it if I could avoid it.
No, I hear you on that. I just wanted to go home. When I woke up to those messages saying, get your asses home right now, I was on it. And I was on hold, both on the phone and in line on a computer thing for over 3 hours to get my flight changed. And even though KLM was saying you can change for free because we booked through Cheapo Air, it cost me over $600. And I think by the time you got online to change yours, you were on a hold for what, like 6 hours or something?
No, it was 14 hours.
Oh, God.
It was 14 hours that poor Brian had to be on hold. And I took some of those hours, but when they kept hanging up.
No, I know. I told you that. Remember? I said, tell him to get online because they'll be like, this number is no longer valid. And I don't know if they were just reacting to too many callers or what.
Yeah, the phone lines and everything over all of the travel companies, all of the airlines, all of the hotels, Priceline's having a hard time. I'm sure Cheapo Air. Well, I know because Brian's had to call them. Brian is among many other things, he's kind of like my go-to fixer in the States. I was so grateful to have him on hold for me because I was just in full-blown freak-out mode. The day that we got the SOS, you need to come home right now, the borders were going to be closing. And then they started announcing the border closures. That morning, you got on and it took you, 4 hours? 3 hours?
Yeah, it took me 4 hours. And that was on a Thursday. And I ended up leaving Friday morning. And then
And
you
then
got out Saturday morning.
yeah, and so then me and Brian tag team 14 hours whole time before I was able to rebook a new ticket, and that one cost me, I think it was a little less than $800, not free. But then all of the flights were booked, and the one flight that I could have gotten on, I wouldn't have had time to pack my stuff and get to the airport to make that.
Yeah.
So the soonest I could fly out was on Saturday, and in that time things just kept getting worse. And I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to make it out. You made it out, and then you got home safe. And I was like, okay, now it's my turn. But then Antigone didn't have a flight out until the 17th. And we'll talk about that. But Antigone had a much different experience. She is not having a good time right now. And the rules changed while she was in flight.
Yeah, no,
So
it's crazy.
I had no idea what we were looking at. And I was really sad to have to leave because that place was awesome and I was having such a good time and I was really vibing with a lot of the locals, and I thought we were going to get some excellent content and experiences out of it. The day that we were set to record the podcast, you had to spend all day on hold trying to book a flight out.
And I really wanted to go do some exploring around, and see some different things. And we didn't get to do that, unfortunately, because we had to bounce because we wanted to do that weekend. So, we can always go back. That's the good part. And we had an amazing experience.
I would 10 out of 10 do the Holi Festival again, though. I mean, I know that everyone's going to be real sketched out about strangers touching hands to faces after all of this. And
oh, it's fine. Wash up after. As long as there's not a pandemic in the world, I would say go. And I would say the beach one was very cool, but also maybe try north too.
Yeah. No, like I would love to go back again. I'm not done with India.
No, I'll never
I was
be
like
done
just catching my bearings. I see why you love the place so much though. I really do. I was afraid. I was thinking that like maybe I might not like it that much, but I absolutely did. It was a wonderful experience. The locals were so nice. Everyone was like really, really kind and chill.
It's the
Lots
best.
of yoga and meditation out there. I think we need more of that in the States.
Oh yeah, we need more of that everywhere, especially right now.
So let's come back and we'll do the whole coronavirus update.
Yeah, that's a whole nother episode between what we're going through now, what's going on in all these different countries. You've got friends in weird places. I've got friends in weird places. Just sort of gather this information and see what's happening. It's a crazy time. It's like war, but we're fighting an invisible enemy that is killing us. It's crazy. It's absolutely
insane. It is insane. And actually, Kelly's going to come back and do a podcast episode checking in from quarantine in Ohio. I think they're locking everything down out there now.
Yeah, it's a domino effect. I'm checking the news, BBC and like CNN and several others every 2 hours. And every time there's something different. It's just, you can't keep up with it.
I'm actively not doing that. People keep dropping things in group chats and texting me links, and sometimes I read them, sometimes I don't. The only thing that I can do is stay the hell at home and not have any contact with the outside to the greatest extent possible. And I'm already doing all of the things that I can do. To watch it is just horrifying and sad, and I mean, it's really scary. And I still have a business to run in this crisis, so I'm trying to keep my headspace as clear as possible.
And that's another thing we need to talk about is people's jobs are being affected.
Oh my God, yeah.
And it's really screwing up the economy. People's livelihoods are going out the window. I mean, I have my own personal story that I can get into on what's going on in that episode. So yeah, we'll come back a little tighter with that. We should also mention another one of our sponsors, Trusted House Sitters. One of the sitters was watching Joko, my little fur baby, while I was gone. Again, a great experience. There was a little confusion for everybody, having to cut the sit short because of the coronavirus. So there was a little bit of what's going on, but Trusted House Sitters did a great job helping us manage through that. And as always, I had daily updates and photos from my little pooch, and everything went really well. So it's just, again, I can't stress enough that if you need to embark on an adventure, go anywhere.
Or maybe even go home for a while. Like, I think that I don't know what's going on with the coronavirus, but just in general, if you need to leave for work or whatever other reasons, Trusted House Sitters can be a really great option if you can't bring your pet with you. They house sit, they pet sit. You've got peace of mind knowing that your fur baby's being taken care of, but then you can still go handle what you need to. I think that certainly recreational travel is going to be put on hold for everyone for a long time, but that doesn't mean that you might not need to leave your house if somebody gets sick. Or if you get sick.
That's huge. If you have to go to the hospital, God forbid, or something, and you need somebody to stay. I had a gal reach out to me on Trusted House Sitters from Amsterdam, and she said, she lives with roommates and she'd be happy to do it because she just likes to have the space to herself sometimes, and she loves animals. So,
somebody reached out to you for that.
Yeah. Exactly. So,
that's awesome.
You don't have to leave the country or the state or whatever. If you need to just get away, you could certainly find somebody that's probably in a train or driving distance that could help you out. Again, this is uncharted waters that we're dealing with here, but now this is a great resource to check, and certainly in the future, it's worth so much to have that peace of mind that your animal's being taken care of.
To even know that it's an option, because I think a lot of people don't know that there's an option where a house sitter will come take care of your pet and your property. If you want to check out Trusted House Sitters, they've got an app, trustedhousesitters.com. If you use code workationing10, the number 10, not spelled out, workationing10, you'll save 10%.
And it's also, if you don't have a pet, but you want to travel and you're comfortable with pets, it's a great way for you to have some housing when you travel. So it works both ways. Lots of opportunity for everyone.
Yeah. All right. So did we do it?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. High five. We'll come back.
I hope to see you soon, man, in person.
I know.
Jeez.
It'll be a while. Like, how long do you think that this is going to go on for?
Nobody knows. Honestly, I think the Netherlands is being they're taking this sort of, we're all going to get it to form a human barrier to the old and weak. And this sort of pack immunity is what they're going for. So they're probably being the most lax of everyone. But I think the States is going to get hit the hardest, and this is going to last through the summer. They're not prepared. And they were saying that per capita, the U.S. has less beds and ability to take care of its people than Italy does. Not to scare anybody, but I just think we're just at the beginning of this, unfortunately. But I'm not a doctor. Listen to the doctors out there. Listen to the qualified people. Let's hope for the best. But I think
we home in the meantime.
And shower more than I do. That's my advice.
More than once every 3 days, girl. I'm gonna need you. Like, that can be a daily activity.
I'm working up to that.
All right, I'll talk to you later, lady.
Okay, see you soon, I hope.
Oh, no, wait. We've got to do time and place.
Yeah, I know. I was saying goodbye for the...
Oh. This episode of the Workationing Podcast is brought to you by Trusted House Sitters. You can catch them at trustedhousesitters.com or via their new app. Ashley and I both use Trusted House Sitters to source pet sitters for our fur babies when we're away from home.
You can use discount code WORKATIONING10 for 10% off your annual plan. That's WORKATIONING plus the number 10, no space, to save 10% off your membership. You can also get the link directly in the show notes for the episode.